Are there any other? You guys have any more questions at all? Any last questions here? Yeah.
I like in a lot of your lyrics, there's a hint of more. I don't want to say internal struggle, sounding too dramatic, but you know, you're kind of just dealing with shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, was there ever a point where you thought you might break up the band or anything like that? Or was it just strictly, you know, your hobby, as you said to do?
There's never been a there has never been a point where we've, at least for my part, we've ever thought about breaking it up. You're right. I mean, I do write. Sometimes it's easier to write. Like, I mean, I have one song on Situations Comedy that literally is about the fact that I'm writing lyrics and I'm sick of writing the lyrics and I'm freaking out because I don't have the lyrics done. You know what I mean? Like, and when you
Which
know,
one is that?
Oh, sell the house. Right. Yeah. Like that one is seriously about the fact that I'm like cramming and I like don't have any lyrics ready and like I mean it doesn't sound like that when it's all written out or whatever, but I couldn't think of anything else except for the fact that I was panicking. But no, I mean yeah, sometimes I write like I'm more comfortable writing something like that. Like especially like in later records, like you know, I didn't want to write like if we write something political or we write something that's more like about social politics or about religion, like you know, there were so many bands like Anti-Flag and bands like that were around the same time that would just like, I mean, you couldn't believe that like people would buy, you know, it's like just the most generic like slogan stuff, and I think some of our earlier stuff was like that, and I've gotten to a point where I'm more comfortable writing I hope if it comes out good, it's the lyrics are like, you know, they might sort of like imply fuck the government without having a chorus that says fuck the government, fuck the government, fuck the government. You know what I mean? Like, and that, like, if you know, if we're trying to do something, I think, and Patty I think is the same way. Like he writes more like story style a little bit. Like, but I think we're trying to get better at not just writing slogans, you know, because it's just easy and it's boring. But no, as far as breaking up the band, I mean I'm good. I mean like it's just not. I don't know. It's just not a lot of work. We just don't let it be a lot of work. I mean, sometimes it is, but we just, when I look at how many bands we've been friends with over the years, you know, that have, you know, put out 2 records, toured the world, become huge, and broken up in the time that we made 2 records, 9 times out of 10 it's because they worked their asses off at it, and they got this idea that it was gonna happen for them, you know, and they got consumed by this idea that they were gonna like break, you know, because especially in the last I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years, like there are punk bands that have gotten famous and become millionaires, but even right when we started, that hadn't really happened yet, and you started punk bands, and there was no example of that. Like the biggest you were going to be was maybe like First Avenue. Like there was no like you're going to be a millionaire. So if you were starting a punk band back then, you were sort of accepting that like that's the deal. Like you're not going to be famous, you're not going to be huge. Like it just didn't happen. So I think the bands that, you know, a lot of really good bands that have, you know, sort of broken up, and it's because they get caught up in this newfangled idea that they can be like a famous rich punk band, you know, or they do all the work, or they tour, you know, 8 months out of the year. And I think, I mean, the secret to being in the same band for 16 years is don't do a lot, don't work hard at it, you know, like. So yeah, I mean, until it becomes like a lot. Like next week, I have to deal with like. You know, because we don't have managers or we don't have anything like that. We have a booking agent, but we've never had like management or anything, or you know, we just handle all our own stuff. So next week I have to figure out shipping a whole bunch of merchandise over to England, and like that day I'll probably be griping and be like, this sucks. I got to figure out all this stuff, and it's gonna feel like work. But you know, it's one day out of a long stretch, and I think if I had those days a lot, yeah, I probably would have been ready to pack it in at some point. But
do you find that your perspective, growing older yourself, just like that, how that's coming into your lyrics, and are you?
Oh, sure.
Are you conscious of? Are you like, oh yeah, I want to do that, or are you like, oh, I don't want to show that too much, or how do you balance that?
You know, it's weird. I mean, you know, we certainly didn't ever picture the idea of like Dillinger Four as 40-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like that never, and we're not yet, but we're getting there. I mean, we're a few years off from the idea of like Dillinger Four are 40-year-olds.
That'll be a part.
That was never part of the plan, you know. Not that there really was a plan, but I mean, we never saw that coming. So, yeah, it'll be interesting the next few years though. Like, yeah, because there is a point where you have to think like, should there be such a thing as Dillinger Four at 40? Like,
There's Motorhead.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's fucking Motorhead, dude. I mean, Jesus, like. But yeah, like, so I don't know. I mean, I guess that'll be interesting to see whether we can do that.
But do you
or
find
not,
that
you
when
know?
you're in your songs as that's kind of coming out and you've got that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've written stuff that definitely like, you know, not that I like regret, but I mean they reflect like ideas that, you know, like I wrote on our second seven inches a song that was like about, you know, I thought voting was stupid. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know, why be part of the system? It's, you know, the whole thing's rigged, and you know what I mean? And that was sort of my perspective on it, and I think that was like maybe the first like Clinton election had just happened, and like I was in college, and it was just really annoying like having all this, you know, these sort of like, you know, college kid like sort of, you know, they were annoying and into electoral politics and didn't think beyond that and thought that everything was going to change if they just elected a Democrat, and I was just so cynical and like, you know, and you know, in later years like, no, I vote, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, your perspectives change over time or whatever, and that's just reality, and you know, that'll probably continue to happen, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.